This is the exact moment where Guthrie Govan taught the guitar world a lesson in melodic shredding. Whoa! What was that? And today I'm going to teach you what is going on in Guthrie's brain while improvising, some of his musical tips and tricks, and also I've prepared for you 2 shred licks in the style of Guthrie Govan from that jam that you can easily incorporate into your next solo. Guitar champion, I'm 𝙎𝙤𝙢𝙚, back from my practice dojo. Welcome to today's video. Here we go. If you don't know it, this clip is from the all-star jam of the John Petrucci guitar camp from 2018, I believe. And here we have top-notch guitar players like Tosin, Abasi, Andy James, Mr. John Petrucci himself, a random guy where I don't know the name, but his playing is actually pretty good, Mike Mangini on drums, Dave LaRue on bass, and the legendary Guthrie Govan on guitar as well, to show everybody of them, okay, this is how you improvise over a track like that. The track is divided into 2 parts, and even though some of these top-notch players are struggling with the first section, which is harmonically a little bit easier, Guthrie is blazing over the more complex section, but still always being musical, melodic, and interesting in what he's playing. And the first thing that is always important to check out and to analyze when it comes to sections like those is the chord progression that we have underneath the section. So let's check it out. The first chord that we have here is the C-sharp minor 7 chord, where we're going to C major 7. I absolutely love this chord progression, which resolves into A major 7 for 2 bars, maybe even A major 7 sharp 11. Then we're repeating again C sharp minor 7, C major 7, and then we're going to B, like major, B dominant, or even like B 7 9 11. To know this chord progression is extremely relevant for the melodic approaches that Guthrie is doing here. And even though Guthrie is more kind of a chord thinker instead of a scale thinker, of course, we can play scales over these chords. Like for example, over the C sharp minor 7, we can play the C sharp Dorian scale. Over the A major 7 sharp 11, we can play A Lydian. And over the B 7 9 11, we can play B Mixolydian. All of these 3 scales, they have basically the same notes, but the behavior of the notes, they are changing depending on what kind of chord we are in. The only chord that is a little bit outside of that scale is the C major chord. And of course, over the C major 7 chord, we can play the C major scale, even maybe Lydian. But here's where Guthrie's method is kicking in. Because again, as I mentioned, Guthrie is definitely somebody who thinks more in intervals, in chord tones, and not necessarily in scale. And every chord progression has an inner melody, and it's really interesting to analyze the melody that is developing throughout this chord progression. Like for example, what I like to do is to check with the C sharp minor 7 and the C major chord, do they have any tones in common? And yes, the E is a note that we have in the C sharp minor 7 and the C major 7. In both chords is the 3rd, in the first chord is the minor 3rd, and the second one the major 3rd. Now we also have the E, for example, in A major 7, here it's the 5th. So for example, for the first 4 bars we can melodically stick to the E. Now to the B we have to change a little bit, but we can go easily either to the D sharp, which is the major 3rd of the B, or we can go to the F sharp, which is the 5th of the B. But also we have a moving melody. Like for example, we can stick to the root note of the C sharp minor, then we're going down a half tone step to the C of the C major, and then we can go again to the C sharp, because here it's the 3rd of the A major. For example, for the B we can even go 1 half tone step further. C sharp minor, C major, B. So there are many interesting inner melodies inside of chord progressions. It's always fun to find out what kind of melodies do we have there, and of course to use them in our improvisation, because that is a tool that Guthrie is doing a lot in his solos. Now, but this maybe sounds a little bit complex in the beginning, you know, chord tones, intervals, all these kind of things. And from interviews I know that Guthrie loves to sum up certain things a little bit easier. And for example, here we can sum up 3 chords, the C♯7, the A major 7 and the B dominant 7 in one easy pentatonic. The C# minor pentatonic. You can try it out if you like, but you can nearly play over the whole chord progression. The C# minor pentatonic. Only for the C we have to change something, but we can go to the parallel minor pentatonic, which would be A minor pentatonic, or we can easily go 1/2 tone step higher to the D minor pentatonic, which also perfectly fits over the C major, more emphasizing the sound of the 11 and of the 13 here, but that's a sound that also Guthrie is emphasizing in his solo. More about this I will talk later in this video. Now, but pentatonics can sound a little bit stiff and boring after a while. And for me, the absolute game changer when it comes to melodic improvisation always were intervals and chord tones. More lessons about this coming soon on this channel here, so you better subscribe if you haven't yet. Sometimes Guthrie even goes a little bit outside of the regular traditional kind of scales, not necessarily outside when it comes to tension, but more when it comes to option notes. Like for example, the 4th, the 6th, or the 9. And there's this really cool section where over the C major 7, for example, he plays that really cool bluesy kind of line. Really emphasizing, for example, the A, which is the 6 over the C, or the D, which is the 2nd, or in interval speaking, the 9. And these kind of bluesy little bending phrases Guthrie is doing a lot, for example, with his legendary solo of Regret Number 9, creates that really specific Guthrie sound. And now let's go to some musical tips and tricks that Guthrie is doing in this solo. And one composing technique or improvisational technique that he's doing there that I'm constantly always praising on this channel here is motifs. Yes, Guthrie is the master of melodic and rhythmical motifs. Guthrie is not only playing a melody and then after that the next melody and the next melody. No, he's evolving the melody into something bigger, something more than just random notes played in a bar. And this is actually something that we can practice effectively with the following method. Take yourself a click, like for example old school metronome, like I have it here, the mechanicals ones. Take one scale, like for example in this case the C# Dorian scale, and play a random melody, like this one here. And now I'm going to repeat the sequence of that melody and the rhythm throughout the next bars, but I'm changing where I'm playing it inside of my scale. Now the next day you take a different melody, like, I don't know, this one here for example. The more you are doing this, the easier it gets for you to understand the core movement, the core elements of a certain melody in an improvisation, and to evolve that and to develop that into, again, something bigger. Do this daily for 5 to 10 minutes and then it will become super effective for your next improvisation. Another thing that I love in Guthrie's playing is that he is playing with the rhythm. There's this really cool moment where Mike Mangini starts to play or to emphasize this, I believe, rhythm in 5. I think it's a rhythm in 5. And Guthrie catches that and is transporting that into his playing. Super cool musical moment. And I love to do these kind of things in an improvisation. And when the drummer is not giving me any kind of cue or anything like that, I have to create the cue by myself. So for example, what I like to do to recreate these kind of moments is to take a note, like in this case, the E, where we know that we have this note in nearly every chord, and I'm going to start playing a rhythm. And by the focus on rhythm rather than melodical movement, I'm giving the drummer the cue like, hey, okay, hop in, let's play that rhythm together. Let's create cool musical tension by playing this rhythm. And the third thing that I think is always extremely phenomenal in Guthrie's playing is his bending technique. Extremely wide bendings, always perfectly targeting notes from the scale. I love it. I could do a whole video about that. If you would love to see a video about that, let me know in the comment section, of course. And now, I mean, this is a shred channel. I would say let's go into the 2 shred licks that I've transcribed in the style of Guthrie Govan from that jam for you. The first lick slowly goes like this. So here we have a lick where the focus is basically the accent and the rhythm. Especially with the rhythmical displacement of the G sharp here, the 9th fret on the B string. Here, hand synchronization and pick slanting is really crucial to make the string skips and the switching between inside picking and outside picking. Inside picking, outside picking, inside picking. These kind of terms like inside picking, outside picking, pick slanting, and speed picking in general causes trouble in your brain. I highly recommend to check out the ZEN of Speedpicking, my big online masterclass about speed picking, where with more than 50 licks and exercises, 10 etudes, 4 workouts for everybody who does not have much time on their hand to practice, and a bulletproof practice plan, I guarantee to you to bring your shred game to the next level. Because all the licks and all the exercises, they are not only perfect to work on your technique, but they are also blueprints that you can use to spice up your next solo. Check the link in the description box for more information, and don't forget to get the ZEN of Sweeping, my big online masterclass about sweeping with more than 15 fun and musical sweep etudes for 50% off when you buy the ZEN of Speedpicking. Alright, and lick number 2 slowly goes like this. This is the lick that he played over the A major 7, and he's playing F sharp minor 7, which creates that A major 7 6th sound, and then he's sliding from the A to the G sharp, which is the major 7 of the A, and then he's pulling down the scale back to the E, sliding to the F sharp, A, and then he's outlining this sus2 chord, a little bit of scale segment, and then this wide intervallic jump which leads to a bend, which is a really typical trademark of Guthrie, having a sweep or a run or whatnot, and then having this wide intervallic jump to a bending. Yes, and so much for this little video about the really cool jam of Guthrie Govan and how he's improvising over that. I highly recommend to check it out by yourself. I highly recommend to work on these kind of methods because they can be a game changer in improvisation. They were for me. And as usual, I wish you a lot of fun learning, practicing, and mastering the guitar. I'm going to see you in my next video. Cheers and power your progress.